Hey, are you sure you don't want breakfast? I called from the kitchen, watching Clara rush around the living room. She didn't look up. I'm late already, Ethan. Daniel moved the meeting to 9. Daniel again. His name had started to show up in every other sentence lately. I forced a smile. He must really depend on you. She paused to grab her bag. He's my project lead. Of course he does. Right. I stirred my coffee, pretending that didn't sting. You've been working late all week. You okay? I'm fine, she said too quickly. This campaign is just insane. You know how clients are. I nodded, though her tone felt rehearsed. She slipped her laptop into her bag, her movements sharp, distracted. I said quietly, You used to talk about your projects nonstop. Now you just... Shut down. She froze for a second, then sighed. Ethan, don't start, please, I'm tired. I just need to focus. I'm not starting anything, I replied. I'm just asking if you're okay. It feels like you're somewhere else lately. She looked up then, her brown eyes flickering. You always overthink everything. Can't I just be tired? Sure, I murmured. Just tired, the silence stretched. I hated it, the way our words kept turning to dust. 3 years together, and we used to talk about everything. Now even breakfast felt like walking on glass. Her phone buzzed on the table. I glanced at it out of instinct. A message flashed. Daniel, don't forget the flash drive. She snatched the phone before I could blink. Work stuff, she said quickly. I didn't ask, I said, though my voice came out colder than I intended. She rolled her eyes. You don't have to. You're judging me already. I set my cup down carefully. Clara, I'm not judging you. I miss how we were. Her lips tightened. People change, Ethan. It doesn't mean something's wrong. Maybe, I said softly. But something feels off. You used to call me just to tell me you missed me. Now I don't even know what time you get home. She zipped her coat with a loud pull. You're making a big deal out of nothing, am I? I asked. Because when someone says honesty is everything, it means not hiding parts of your life. That hit her. I saw it in the way her eyes flicked away. You think I'm lying to you? I think, I said slowly, that you're hiding something. She stared at me for a long second, then shook her head. You always do this, create problems when things are fine. Are they fine? I whispered. Yes, Ethan, they are. Her voice cracked slightly, but she covered it with a laugh. You're being paranoid. You've been working too much. Maybe, I said again, though the word felt hollow. She walked to the door, then hesitated. I'll be late tonight. Don't wait up. I always wait up, I said quietly. I know, she replied, and for a moment her eyes softened. Then she turned the handle. As she leaned in to kiss me goodbye, I caught her perfume. Sweet jasmine with a note of something sharp underneath. It lingered even after she left. I stood there staring at the closed door, listening to the fading sound of her heels on the stairs. The apartment felt emptier than it should have. I sat at the table, running a hand through my hair. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe Daniel really was just a coworker. But then why did her voice change every time she said his name? Why did she lock her laptop now? I remembered her words from when we first moved in together. Honesty is everything, Ethan. Promise me we'll never hide anything. I had promised. I meant it. But now, watching her coffee cup untouched on the counter, I wondered if she ever did. The clock ticked loud in the silence. My chest tightened with something I didn't want to name. Doubt. Fear. Maybe both. Sophie once told me, when someone starts guarding their phone like a secret, they've already decided you're an outsider. I hadn't believed her then. Now I wasn't so sure. The morning light spilled across Clara's empty chair, and I realized how strange it was to feel lonely while still being in love. I picked up her cup, still warm, and whispered, Honesty, right? No one answered, and for the first time I felt the quiet beginning to break something inside me. Hey, you changed your password again? I asked, watching Clara's fingers move quickly over her laptop keys. She didn't even look up. Yeah, work policy. We have to rotate every month. That's new, I said. She shrugged. Daniel's been strict about data security. He doesn't want leaks. Daniel again, I muttered before I could stop myself. She shot me a glance. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, forcing a smile. I just hear his name a lot lately. Well, he's my project lead. You'd hear your boss's name too if you ever talked about work at home. I don't talk about work because you said it bored you, I reminded her. She exhaled loudly. Ethan, are we really doing this? I shook my head. No, forget it. She turned back to her screen. The faint clicking of the keys filled the silence between us. I tried to read, but all I could see was her reflection on the laptop screen and the way she smiled at her messages. That smile used to be mine. Later that night, when she showered, her phone lit up on the coffee table. Daniel, need your input on the render. My heart skipped. Just work. Probably. When she came out, I asked casually, You working with Daniel again tonight? She dried her hair. Yeah, he's behind schedule, and I promised I'd help him polish the design. At midnight? She frowned. You sound like my dad. I sound like someone who hasn't had dinner with his girlfriend in a week, I said softly. Her eyes softened, but only for a second. I told you it's temporary. Once the project's done, things will calm down. Sure, I said. Just don't burn out, she smiled faintly. You worry too much. Maybe, I said, but I could already feel the distance between her words and her eyes. At work, Sophie leaned over my desk. You look like a ghost. You okay? Yeah, I said, typing without looking up. You're lying, she said simply. You always blink too much when you lie, I sighed. It's just... Clara's been different lately. New passwords, late nights, constant messages. I don't want to assume anything. Sophie folded her arms. So you're pretending everything's fine. I'm trying not to be paranoid, I said. She says it's work. I should trust her. Trust doesn't mean blindness, she said. If she's honest, she won't hide. Her words stuck in my chest like splinters. I stared at my monitor for the rest of the day. Typing reports I couldn't remember writing. When I got home, the apartment was dark. Clara wasn't there. I reheated leftover pasta and ate alone. At 11, I heard her key turn in the door. She walked in, tired but smiling. Hey, sorry. We had to fix some layout issues. I forced a smile back.
You mean you and Daniel?
Yes, Ethan, me and Daniel, she said flatly. Can you not make that sound like a crime? I didn't say it was, I replied. I just miss you, she froze, her expression softening for a brief moment. I miss you too. This project's just crazy. Then let's take a day off together, I offered. Just us, no laptops, she hesitated. I can't this week. Next week, then? She nodded slowly. Maybe, I repeated. The word hung like dust in the air. She placed her bag on the couch, sat beside me, and leaned her head on my shoulder. I know I've been distant, she said quietly. I'm just stressed. You believe me, right? I swallowed. Yeah, I believe you. I didn't, but I wanted to. The next morning, her laughter woke me. She was on the phone in the kitchen. No, stop. You'll get me in trouble, she said between giggles. I lay there listening, heart thudding. Her tone was playful, familiar. When I walked in, she quickly ended the call. Who was that? I asked. She smiled, too casually. Daniel. He was joking about the presentation files. At 7 a.m, she smirked. Apparently, creativity doesn't have office hours. Guess not. She touched my cheek lightly. Ethan, you're staring again. I just like looking at you, I said. Trying to sound natural. Liar, she teased. But her eyes darted away. That night, I lay awake, watching the faint glow from her laptop across the room. She typed fast, her face lit by the blue light. Every click sounded like a secret. Clara, I said finally, don't you ever get tired? She didn't look up. I'm fine. Go to sleep. You've been working nonstop. I told you, it's temporary. You used to fall asleep on my chest, I whispered. Now it's like you can't stand being in the same bed. Her fingers froze. Then she said quietly, That's not fair. I'm not trying to be fair, I said. I'm trying to be honest, she shut her laptop. Maybe honesty isn't always kind. Maybe kindness isn't always honest, I shot back. She sighed. Ethan, I love you. Stop making me prove it. I'm not asking for proof, I said. I'm asking for you. She turned away. Good night. The silence that followed was louder than shouting. At work the next day, Sophie handed me a coffee and said, You look worse than yesterday. Thanks, I muttered. Did you talk to her? Yeah, it didn't help. Sophie leaned closer. You can't fix someone who's already halfway gone. I stared at the cup in my hands. She said she loves me. Words are cheap, Sophie said gently. Actions aren't. Her words echoed in my mind all afternoon. When I got home that evening, Clara's laptop was on the dining table, lid closed, the faint light of a notification pulsing like a heartbeat. I reached out, then stopped. I wasn't ready to know. Not yet. Sunday mornings used to be our thing. Coffee, quiet music, no deadlines. But lately, Clara had new habits. I'll be gone for a few hours, she said, pulling on her coat. Client meeting. On a Sunday? I asked. She smiled like it was nothing. Design never sleeps. You used to say weekends were sacred. She laughed softly. That was before I started working with Daniel. He's obsessed with timelines. The name twisted something in my chest. Right. Daniel. She noticed my tone. Don't start, Ethan. I'm not, I said. Just surprised he needs you this often. He's my boss for this project, she snapped. Then her voice softened. Don't make this ugly, okay? I'll be back soon. Fine, I muttered. When she kissed my cheek, it felt practiced. Like habit, not love. The door closed. Silence filled the apartment. I made coffee and sat staring at her mug across the table. Her laptop sat open, humming quietly. I remembered she'd asked me to help update her resume last week. Maybe I could do it now. Something normal, something safe. I moved the mouse. The screen lit up. Password prompt. Of course, I whispered. She never used to lock it. My fingers hovered over the keys. I tried her birthday, then mine. Nothing. I almost gave up when I typed our anniversary date, 3 years last June, and it unlocked. My stomach turned. Why would she use that if she didn't care anymore? The desktop looked ordinary, folders named projects, clients, inspiration. But one caught my eye. It was faint, almost transparent. Personal designs. I shouldn't open it. That thought came first. Then another followed, darker. What if I need to? I clicked. A list of files appeared, images, videos, and chat backups. My pulse quickened. I opened one. It was Clara, smiling. Not at me. At someone holding the camera. Daniel, stop recording. Her voice laughed through the speakers. My breath caught. I froze, the sound echoing in the empty room. I clicked another file. Text messages filled the screen. Daniel. Can't stop thinking about last night. Clara. Don't. You'll make me feel guilty. Daniel. You didn't look guilty then. Clara. You make me forget him. The words blurred. My hands trembled. I shut the laptop but couldn't stop shaking. No, I whispered. No, no, no. I stood, pacing the room. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I wanted to throw the laptop, smash it, scream, but I couldn't move beyond the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. When the front door opened hours later, I was still sitting there, staring at nothing. Hey, Clara said cheerfully, setting her bag down. You okay? You look pale. I looked up slowly. How was the client meeting? She blinked. Fine. Why? What client? I asked. My voice sounded strange, too calm. She frowned. Ethan, what's this? Answer me. She hesitated. A small agency downtown. They want, stop lying. Her mouth opened, then closed. What are you talking about? I opened your laptop, I said. Her eyes widened. You what? I was going to print your resume, that's all. You had no right. Then I found the folder. Her breath caught. Ethan, personal designs, I said quietly. That's what you called it. Her face drained of color. You shouldn't have looked. I shouldn't have needed to. My voice cracked. You promised me honesty, Clara. She stepped closer, trembling. It's not what you think. Don't, I snapped. I saw the messages, the videos. Don't you dare tell me I imagined it. Tears welled in her eyes. Ethan, please. Who are you begging for? I said bitterly. Me? Or the man who makes you forget me? She covered her mouth, shaking. I made a mistake. A mistake? I laughed, hollow. You hid a whole second life behind a password and called it a mistake? I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. You didn't mean to get caught, I said. That's different. She reached out, but I stepped back. Don't touch me. Please, Ethan, 3 years, I said. 3 years, Clara, and you threw it away for him. Her voice broke. I was lonely. You stopped talking to me, stopped noticing. I was building us a future, I shouted. You were building excuses. She turned away, sobbing quietly. I'm sorry. No, you're not, I said. You're scared. The silence stretched. Only the hum of the laptop filled the room. I looked at her one last time, the woman who once swore she'd never lie to me, and saw nothing familiar left. I don't even know who you are anymore, I whispered. Ethan, please. Save it for Daniel, I said, grabbing my keys. He seems to like your honesty more than I ever did. Her tears followed me to the door, but I didn't look back. I couldn't. Outside, the air felt too thin, the world too loud. My hands shook as I walked down the street, the echo of her words still burning in my ears. You make me forget him. Maybe that was the truth all along. She never wanted honesty. She wanted distraction, and I'd been foolish enough to believe love could survive without truth. The apartment felt colder when I came back that night. Clara sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. We need to talk, I said quietly. She looked up, guarded. About what? Don't do that. My voice shook. You know what? She sighed, setting her phone down. Ethan, I already told you. You told me lies, I cut in, and I'm done pretending I can't see through them. She stood up, eyes flashing. You broke into my laptop! I was helping you, Clara. You said you needed your resume printed. That doesn't give you the right to invade my privacy, she shouted. Privacy? I laughed bitterly. You mean the secret world you built with Daniel? Her face went pale. Stop saying his name. Why? It's all over your messages, your videos, your little hidden folder. Her hands trembled, but her voice was sharp. You went looking for trouble, and you found it. No, I said. I found the truth. She glared at me, eyes wet. You think this is all my fault? You, with your long nights and your silence, you stopped seeing me, Ethan. You stopped hearing me. I stared at her, disbelief flooding my chest. So that's your defense? You were bored? She crossed her arms, defiant. I was lonely. Lonely? I stepped closer. You had me. You just wanted more. Her voice cracked. I wanted to feel alive again. I swallowed hard. And you found life in someone else's bed. She flinched, tears spilling. Don't twist it. Then tell me how it's not twisted, I said. Tell me how you could look me in the eyes every morning and still keep him in your phone. Her voice rose. Because I was scared. I didn't know how to end it. I shook my head slowly. You didn't want to end it. She went silent. The truth hung heavy between us. Finally, she whispered, You're making this worse. No, Clara, I said. You already did that. She sank onto the couch, crying into her hands. For a moment, I almost felt pity. Then the memory of her laughter with him burned it away. You never understood me, she said through sobs. You never tried to. I tried, I said. God, I tried every day, but you already decided I wasn't enough. She looked up, eyes red and wild. Maybe you weren't. The words hit harder than any slap could. I felt something inside me crack, quietly, cleanly, like glass under pressure. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said, Then why didn't you leave? She stared at me, lips trembling. Because I still love you. I laughed, hollow. Love? You don't lie to the people you love. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't. Please, Ethan, she whispered. We can fix this. There's nothing left to fix, I said. You broke it, then buried it. Silence fell again, thick and suffocating. The walls felt closer, the air too heavy. I grabbed my jacket, phone, and the only thing I couldn't leave behind, my laptop. "Where are you going?" she asked, standing. "Out," I said, "before I say something I can't take back." "Don't do this," she begged. "Please." "I didn't do this," I said. "You did." I walked out. Her sobs followed me down the hall, but I didn't turn around. Outside, the night was cold enough to sting. I didn't know where I was going, just away. Away from the smell of her perfume, from the ghost of our laughter in those walls. My phone buzzed. A message. "Maya. I heard you two fighting. I'm sorry, Ethan. But you deserve to know. She's been seeing him for months." I stopped walking. The streetlights blurred. Months, not weeks. Months. I typed back, "Thank you for telling me." Then turned off my phone. The truth settled like lead in my chest. She'd been gone long before I found that folder. I was just late to the funeral of our love. I reached the park where we once spent lazy Sundays, feeding ducks, sharing silence. The bench was still there. I sat down, breathing in the quiet. For the first time in years, I felt completely alone and completely awake. Behind me, our apartment lights glowed faintly through the distance. I imagined her inside, crying, blaming, breaking. Maybe she'd tell herself I was cruel. Maybe she'd convince herself it was my fault. But deep down, we both knew the truth. It wasn't the invasion of privacy that ended us. It was everything she chose to hide. The walls of my new apartment were white and empty, like someone had erased color from my life. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound most nights. Sleep had become a stranger. When Sophie knocked the first time, I almost didn't open the door. "Ethan," she said softly, holding a paper bag, "you can't live on instant noodles forever." "I wasn't planning to," I muttered, though the half-empty cup on my desk betrayed me. She stepped inside anyway, looking around. "It's quiet." "Yeah," I said. "Silence doesn't argue back." She placed the bag on the counter. "I made lasagna. Thought you could use something warm." "I'm fine, Sophie." "No, you're not." She crossed her arms. "You look like you haven't slept in days." "I haven't." "Then talk to me." I shook my head. "There's nothing left to say." "Clara's gone," she said carefully. "I know. And you're still here." "I know that too." She sighed, sitting at the table. "So what are you gonna do?" "Work, breathe, forget." "Forget?" she repeated. "You don't forget someone like that." "I'll try anyway," I said, forcing a smile. "It's better than remembering." Her eyes softened. "You're angry." "I'm empty," I admitted. Anger would be easier. She was quiet for a moment, then said, "You still love her." I stared at the wall. "Love doesn't survive that kind of betrayal. It turns into something else." "What?" "Regret," I said. "And sometimes revenge, but not the loud kind." Sophie leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "I want her to see what she lost," I said. "Not through words, through silence. Through the life she thought I couldn't live without her." Her voice dropped. "That sounds like pain talking." "Maybe," I said. "But pain's all I have left." She reached across the table and placed her hand on mine. "Then let it make you better, not bitter." For a moment, I didn't pull away. The warmth in her touch felt foreign, like sunlight after too long in the dark. I whispered, "You ever been betrayed, Sophie?" She hesitated. "Yes. How did you move on?" "I didn't," she said. "I just learned to live around the hole." We sat in silence after that. It wasn't heavy, it just was. When she left, she said, "You know where to find me." I nodded. "Thanks for the food." "Thanks for opening the door," she replied before walking out. That night, I tried to sleep again but couldn't. The ceiling looked like a blank page waiting for answers I didn't have. I got up, found an old notebook, and started writing. Day 1. I miss who I was before I knew the truth. The next day at work, Mr. Roberts called me into his office. "Ethan," he said, "you've been off lately." "I'm sorry, sir. I'll get it together." He adjusted his glasses. "I'm not here to scold you. You've been through something, haven't you?" I didn't answer. He continued. When I lost my wife, I thought the world had ended. But it didn't. It just changed. I met his eyes. How did you deal with it? I didn't, not at first. I tried to bury it under work. Then one day I realized healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering without breaking. I exhaled slowly. That sounds easier than it is. It's not, he said. But it's possible. Go home early today. Take care of yourself, not the company. I nodded. Thank you. As I walked out, Sophie passed by my desk. Roberts gave you the talk? Something like that, she smiled faintly. He means well. Everyone sees it. You're trying too hard not to feel. Maybe that's my way of surviving, she shrugged. Or hiding. That night, I wrote again. Day 5. People say time heals. They never mention how slow time moves when you're bleeding inside. I stared at those words until the ink smudged. The nights blurred into one another. Sometimes I'd catch myself scrolling through old photos, then shutting my laptop like it burned. Other times I'd hear her name in my head like an echo that refused to die. Sophie checked in almost daily. You're eating? She'd ask, mostly. You're sleeping? Barely. You're thinking of her? Always. One night, she said softly, You'll get through this. I don't want to get through it, I said. I want to understand it. Some things don't have answers, she said. Only lessons. Maybe she was right. Maybe this pain was the price of loving someone who never meant their promises. Before I slept, I wrote again. Day 10. I'll stop waiting for her apology. I'll write my truth instead. It wasn't revenge. Not anymore. It was the start of something else. Quiet, painful, necessary. It was close to midnight when my phone buzzed. I was half asleep on the couch, a notebook open beside me. The screen flashed a name I didn't recognize. Julian M.I. frowned. Who the hell is Julian? The message preview stopped my breath. Julian. Hey bro, Daniel's gonna lose it when he sees what Clara said about your perfect boyfriend act. I sat up, pulse thudding. I opened the chat. There were screenshots and dozens of them. Wrong number, I typed before I could think. 3 dots appeared. Then Julian. Wait. Ethan? Clara's Ethan? I stared at the phone, a cold wave rushing through me. He knows me? Yes, I wrote. Who are you? Julian, oh man. This wasn't meant for you. I'm Daniel's roommate. I didn't mean to. Too late, I replied. Send me what you were sending him, he hesitated. Julian, I shouldn't. Then why message me in the first place? A minute passed. Then another file dropped into the chat. Julian. You didn't get this from me. I opened it. Screenshots, chats, Clara's name at the top. Her words stabbed like blades. He's so loyal, it's pathetic. Sometimes I wonder if he'd even notice if I vanished. Daniel says I should just let him believe he's enough. My stomach turned. My hands trembled as I scrolled. There were jokes about me. My cooking, my habits. The way I said I love you too often, I whispered to the empty room, she mocked me. Another message from Julian popped up. Julian, look, I thought you knew. They weren't careful, man. Careful, I typed. They filmed things. He went silent for a moment. Then, yeah. Daniel said she liked the thrill of it. I'm sorry, dude. I really am. Sorry doesn't change anything, I wrote. I know. Why are you even telling me this? Julian, because I can't stand what they did. You don't deserve that. Nobody does. I took a deep breath. My reflection stared back at me from the dark window, pale, tired, and hollow-eyed. You knew all along? Julian, not at first. But when I realized it was too late. She was always at our place, always smiling like she owned him. I clenched my jaw. She told me honesty was everything. Julian, guess that was her biggest lie. Something inside me snapped, not with rage, but with finality. I said, send everything you have. Every chat, every photo, every word. Julian, Ethan, do it. After a long pause, the files started arriving one by one. The sound of each download felt like a nail in the coffin of what I once called love. I whispered to myself, now I know the truth. When the last file came through, I opened my laptop and forwarded them to my work email. I labeled the folder Proof, Clara and Daniel. I wasn't sure why. Maybe to remind myself this nightmare was real. Julian messaged again. What are you going to do with it? I stared at the blinking cursor before replying, nothing, yet. You're not going to ruin them? I don't need to, I typed. Truth ruins people on its own. He sent one last message. You're stronger than I thought. I replied, no, I'm just done being blind. After he logged off, I sat there in silence. My phone felt heavy in my hand, like it carried the weight of my past. The glow from the screen faded. Leaving me in the dim light of my desk lamp, I whispered, you wanted honesty. Clara, here it is. The irony was cruel. Her biggest promise became the blade she used to cut me open. I poured myself a glass of water, my hands still shaking. Every memory of her laugh, her touch, her lies. They collided in my head like broken glass. I opened my notebook and wrote one line. Day 23. The truth hurts less than pretending ever did. Then another. I won't destroy her. I'll live so honestly that her lies destroy themselves. I leaned back in my chair, breathing out slowly. For the first time in weeks, my chest didn't ache. It burned, yes, but it was a cleaner kind of pain. Maybe justice didn't always need to be loud. Sometimes it was quiet, stored in folders, sealed in silence, waiting for the right time to speak. I turned off the lamp, the room falling into darkness. The truth was out now. And it was enough. The cafe smelled like roasted beans and old heartbreak. I sat at a corner table, watching rain streak down the glass. My hands rested on a manila envelope, the weight of months compressed into paper. When Clara walked in, I almost forgot how to breathe. She looked smaller somehow, wrapped in a beige coat, eyes darting nervously. Daniel followed a step behind, pretending confidence he didn't have. She spotted me and froze. Ethan, I nodded. Clara, Daniel, he smirked faintly. You really wanted to do this face to face? I believe in honesty, I said, my tone flat. You remember that word, right? Clara sat down hesitantly. What do you want, Ethan? To finish what you started. Daniel leaned back in his chair. If this is about the past, maybe you should just move on. I cut him off. Funny. That's what cheaters say when they run out of excuses. His jaw tightened. Clara placed a trembling hand on the table. Please don't do this here. Oh, we're doing this here, I said. You said honesty was everything. Let's be honest now. I slid the envelope toward her. Paper rasped against wood, a sound that felt final. She hesitated, then pulled the photos and screenshots out. Her eyes widened. Daniel leaned forward, face draining of color. He whispered, Where did you get these? Julian, I said. Your roommate. You should tell him to check who he's messaging next time. Clara's lips trembled. Ethan, please don't, I said sharply. Don't call my name like it still belongs to you. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I stared at her. You didn't mean to record it? To laugh about me in your chats? To call me the safe option? She covered her mouth, shaking. I was angry. Lost. I said things I didn't mean, Daniel muttered. Clara, stop talking. I turned to him. Why, scared she'll say something true? He glared. You're pathetic, man. You could have just walked away. I did, I said quietly. But truth follows people who try to bury it, Clara whispered. What do you want from us? I want nothing, I said. No revenge, no apology. Just distance. You both deserve each other. Her tears finally fell. You still hate me. No, I said. Hate takes effort. You're not worth that anymore. The cafe had grown quieter. A few people were pretending not to listen, but I could feel their eyes. Daniel exhaled loudly. You done humiliating yourself? I looked him dead in the eye. I'm not the one being humiliated. Just then the door swung open. Cold air rushed in, and with it, her, a tall woman in a gray coat, auburn hair pinned neatly. I recognized her from photos. Olivia Reed, Daniel's wife. She walked straight to our table, phone in hand. Her expression was calm, too calm. Ethan, she said softly. You're the one who sent this, aren't you? I met her gaze. Yes, Daniel froze. Olivia, wait, she held up her phone. I don't need you to explain, Daniel. The videos, the messages, the hotel receipts, it's all here. Clara's face turned white. Oh my God! Olivia's voice didn't shake. You two made me believe I was crazy for doubting. You laughed about me too. Daniel stood, reaching for her. Olivia, please, it wasn't... She stepped back. Don't. Every lie you ever told me sounds the same now. Clara tried to speak. Olivia, I'm so sorry. Don't you dare, Olivia said coldly. You destroyed your own relationship. You had no right to touch mine. The entire cafe went silent. Cups froze midair. Conversations died. Daniel's voice cracked. "We didn't mean to hurt anyone," Olivia laughed, a sound that sliced through the air. "You meant everything you did. You just didn't think you'd get caught." I sat still, heart pounding but calm. I didn't need to say another word. Truth was speaking for me. Olivia turned to me. "Thank you for showing me what I refused to see." I nodded. "You deserved the truth." She straightened, eyes glistening but steady. "We both did." Daniel tried again. "Olivia, please, let's go outside." She cut him off with a whisper. "We're done, Daniel." He froze, jaw tightening. "You're overreacting." Her eyes hardened. "You mistook my patience for weakness. I'll be gone by tonight." She left, doorbell chiming faintly as she disappeared into the rain. Daniel slumped into his chair, face buried in his hands. Clara just stared at me, whispering, "You sent it to her." "Yes," I said. "Anonymous truth travels faster than lies." Her voice shook. "Why? You said you didn't want revenge." "I don't," I said. "That wasn't revenge. That was justice." Tears ran down her cheeks. "You ruined us." I leaned forward. "You ruined me first." She reached for my hand, desperate. "Ethan, please. I loved you once." "Then you should have loved me honestly," I said, not like a secret you were ashamed of. Her fingers brushed mine, trembling. I pulled my hand away. Daniel finally looked up, eyes red. "Get out," he muttered. I stood, gathering the papers she'd crumpled. "You keep them. They're yours." "Ethan," Clara whispered. I looked at her one last time. "Goodbye, Clara. I hope the lies were worth the silence that's coming." I walked out before she could reply. The rain hit my face like needles, but it felt clean, like something inside me had finally been washed away. Through the cafe window, I saw her bury her face in her hands. Daniel sat motionless beside her, his world collapsing in slow motion. For once, I didn't feel broken watching it. I just felt done. Maybe truth didn't need fire or fury to destroy. Sometimes it only needed daylight, and I had finally given it that. The first text came early in the morning. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. Maya, she's crying every day. I stared at it. My stomach churned. My first reaction was nothing, no triumph, no anger. Just emptiness. I typed back slowly. "Thanks for telling me." Silence followed. I didn't need more. Later, Sophie stopped by with her usual quiet presence. She set a cup of tea on the table. "You've been quiet today," she said. "I'm processing," I admitted. She raised an eyebrow. "Processing what?" "Karma?" I shrugged. "Maybe. She lost her job." "Daniel's marriage, gone. I keep hearing about it from Maya, but it doesn't feel like victory." Sophie leaned against the counter. "It shouldn't. Closure isn't revenge. It's peace." I laughed bitterly. "Peace? I don't think I've felt that in months." "You will," she said gently. "You just have to stop checking her life. Stop letting her chaos live rent-free in your head." "I can't help it," I murmured. "I want to know she regrets it. I want to see the consequences." She shook her head. "That's not closure. That's living in her mistakes." Her words lingered. For once, I didn't argue. A few days later, Maya texted again. Maya. She posted nothing. No job. No explanation, just crying every day. I stared at the message and put my phone down. I didn't respond. I didn't care. Later that night, Sophie came by. "You need to stop watching from the sidelines," she said. "Focus on your life. You survived her betrayal. That's enough." I nodded, swirling the tea in my hands. "I don't know if I ever felt alive without her before this." "You will," she said. "You're already learning to breathe again." The apartment felt lighter that night, less haunted. I opened my journal and wrote, "Day 30, they're suffering. I'm still here. Still me." I read it aloud softly. "Still me?" The words felt strange, powerful in their simplicity. Sophie smiled faintly. "See? That's peace. Peace doesn't feel like anything yet," I said. "Maybe it's quiet," she replied. "Quiet is the first step to feeling again." I stared out the window at the dark street. Rain pattered lightly against the glass. The city moved on, indifferent. I realized I had to move too. "I think I'm ready to stop checking," I said. "You don't need permission from me," she said. "You just need to let go." I nodded. The phone stayed on the counter, untouched. Social media became irrelevant. Clara's name didn't echo in my mind anymore. The screenshots, the messages, the betrayals, they existed, but they no longer had power over me. Sophie put her hand on my shoulder. Living again doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing yourself. I closed my eyes, choosing myself. Days blurred into weeks. I started leaving the apartment more. Walks in the park, visits to the coffee shop where I used to meet Clara, but now alone. Each step felt strange but freeing. Maya checked in occasionally. She's still miserable, she'd text. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Her suffering no longer affected me. Work became my anchor. Mr. Roberts noticed the change. You're lighter, he said. Like you've learned to carry less. I'm getting there, I said. Evenings became quieter in a good way. I would sit on the balcony, notebook in hand, writing about anything that came to mind. Life, mistakes, dreams, the future. Not revenge. Not betrayal. Just me. One evening, Sophie stopped by again. You're smiling more, she observed. I laughed softly. It's strange. It's not happiness yet, but it's not pain either. That's a start, she said. I looked at her. Do you think she regrets it? Maybe, Sophie said, shrugging. Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. Her regret doesn't belong to you anymore. I nodded, letting her words sink in. The emptiness I had felt, the hollow ache, was starting to fill with something lighter. Not joy exactly, but clarity. I realized that's what peace felt like. That night I wrote in my journal, Day 45, Karma whispered. She stumbled, Daniel fell, and I moved forward. Not through revenge. Not through malice. Through letting go. I closed the notebook and looked out at the city lights. They flickered in the rain, distant but steady. I was still standing. I was still alive. And for the first time in months, I could feel something close to calm. The past had its echoes, but they no longer controlled me. I was ready to live again. I sat at my desk, pen in hand, notebook open, and silence pressing around me. The city outside hummed softly, but inside, my thoughts roared. I whispered to myself, maybe this will help. The paper trembled beneath my fingers as I began. Clara, I wrote, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I'm not sending it. I just need to put it somewhere other than my chest. I paused. My hand hovered. Here goes nothing, I murmured. Thank you for teaching me the cost of blind trust. I gave you everything and you took it for granted. I loved you honestly, and in return, I learned the sharp edge of betrayal. I laughed quietly at the bitter irony. Funny how lessons hurt the most when they come from love. I forgive you, I wrote slowly, not for your sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger keeps me tethered to the pain, and I want to breathe again. I want to live free of the weight you left behind. I set the pen down for a moment, staring at the words. I forgive you, I whispered aloud. Even if you don't deserve it. I went back to the letter. I hope you understand one day what honesty truly means. I hope you feel the emptiness you caused, not to hurt you, but to teach you. I hope it changes you in ways you need. The words scratched at me, a strange mix of catharsis and sorrow. I am moving on, not because I want to erase you, but because I choose myself. I am reclaiming my life from the lies, from the hurt, from the silence you left behind. I sealed the letter in an envelope, the finality pressing cold and heavy in my hand. I stared at it for a long time, the lamplight flickering over the paper. This is it, I said softly. No more ghosts. Then I lit a candle and held the envelope over the flame. The edges curled quickly, blackening. Smoke twisted into the air, carrying fragments of pain I had kept for too long. I watched as the last pieces turned to ash and fell into the small metal dish. Goodbye, I whispered. Not to you, but to what you took from me. The ashes floated lightly in the quiet room, almost ethereal. I exhaled long and slow. For the first time in months, my chest felt unburdened. I looked out the window at the city lights and the distant hum of life. There was no joy yet, not fully, but there was lightness, a sense of space inside me where sorrow had lived. I smiled faintly. I can breathe again. I closed the notebook and blew out the candle. Darkness filled the room, but it didn't feel heavy. It felt clean, fresh. Possibility. For the first time in a long while, I felt like myself again. I whispered to the night, "Thank you for letting me let go." And in that moment, the past stayed in the ashes, and I finally stepped forward. The cafe smelled like fresh coffee and old memories. I walked in slowly, the bell over the door ringing softly. The same corner table I had sat at months ago, heart raw and broken, now felt like a place of quiet rebirth. Sophie was already there, her notebook open, a gentle smile on her face. "Ethan," she said softly, "you made it." I sat down across from her, letting out a long breath. "I did. Feels strange. Not like I'm running from something anymore." "You look free," she said. Her words weren't loud, but they landed inside me with weight. "I am," I whispered, almost to myself. "I don't think I realized how heavy I was carrying until it was gone." Sophie chuckled lightly. "Funny how that happens. Sometimes peace is just a quiet chair, coffee, and no ghosts lingering." I nodded. I stopped checking social media, stopped wondering if she regretted it, if Daniel's life was collapsing further. I stopped measuring my healing against their chaos. "You've learned to live for yourself," she said. "That's honesty, the kind that matters most." I leaned back in my chair, looking out the window. Rain streaked the glass, soft and rhythmic. It's strange. I expected relief to feel like fireworks, or rage to feel satisfying. Instead, it's quiet, gentle, and somehow stronger. Sophie tilted her head. "That's strength you can't buy. That's surviving, forgiving, and choosing yourself." I smiled faintly. "I even wrote a letter to her," I admitted. "Never sent it. Just burned it." Felt lighter after that. Words finally released me. "Good," Sophie said. "Closure isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's ashes in a candle dish, whispers in the dark, letting go without needing anyone to see it." I nodded, staring at my coffee. "I think I understand that now. I can remember her without flinching. I can think of the past without letting it control me." "That's progress," Sophie said. "That's being honest with yourself," I laughed softly. "Honesty. It's funny. I thought it was something people promised. Turns out it's something I had to keep for myself all along." Sophie smiled, sipping her tea. "Exactly. And now you can build from that step by step without ghosts hanging over you." "I can see that," I said, feeling warmth I hadn't felt in months. "I'm ready to live fully again without constantly measuring every moment against someone else's lies." She reached across the table and gave my hand a light squeeze. "You deserve this." "I do," I said. "And it feels real, not forced, not borrowed. Just mine." We sat there for a while, talking about small things, laughing lightly at nothing in particular. The rain outside softened, sunlight breaking through the clouds. I looked at her, then out the window, then at the empty street beyond. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. Honesty wasn't what others promised. It was what I kept with myself. And for the first time, I knew peace, and I finally knew me.